We're going to take a giant geographical step now all the way to Cave Creek, Arizona. That's the home of Pete Kyle, again a top trainer in Western performance. Pete and his wife Tamara specialize in Western pleasure, Western riding, trail, Western horsemanship, and they also work with a lot of youth in the youth event programs, and they've captured several championships to their credit.
The Western horse is a horse that all of these classes are basically trained a lot in the same way. You have to have a horse, first of all, I feel that is very quiet and good-minded horse, a cooperative horse, an intelligent horse, one that's very supple, that will give to each command as far as when you pick up on the bridle and you ask him to drop, you know, and give to the bridle, he's supple in his pole. Same way to your cue of your leg, you know, he's supple and he'll move off of the leg. And as he does that in each of these classes, you are required at times to ask him to do each of those. Like in the Western riding, they have to be able to move over and position their body in the position to be able to change. And the pleasures, there's required a certain amount of leg and hand. It's all leg and hand coordination, and the horse has to be able to put all that together. One of the first things that we look for when we're trying to find a nice horse to be able to train is a good, quiet horse. A horse that we feel is real sensible and will be able to take the training that we're fixing to put on to him. We don't want a horse that's real hot and everything, because you have a lot of time spent in trying to get him calmed down and relaxed. So that's the first thing we look for, is a nice quiet horse that's easy to get along with and that's very trainable. Now that we've located the horse that we think is a nice quiet horse to take our training, we'll start him off if he's a young horse, like in a side pull or a smooth snaffle to get him started and going. From there, we'll advance him on into a small snaffle with a short shank, and then from there, advance him on into the bit.
Pete starts his young horses in a side pull without a bit, and it takes 6 months to a year to develop a good pleasure horse that's capable of working on into other events later.
We have to realize as we're training this horse and going that this is not a project that's going to happen overnight or in a week or two. It's not a whirlwind situation. It's a long commitment that both we're going to have to make with the horse and ourselves. Once you've satisfied yourself and you're settled in that in your own mind, then you're able to start and get your methods down and go with it. You know, like I say, we start with a side pull and start off and with our young 2-year-olds, and we're in that for 3 to 4 months before we'll advance them on into a snaffle, depending again on the horse and how quick he responds himself. Each horse is an individual, and you have to respond to them as an individual. Some will advance quicker and some will take a little longer. And as we advance them into that, you know, we'll teach them to move off our leg, be supple, to do the walk and the jog and the lope on cues, you know. And then from there we're able to put them in through the snaffle, get them a little more supple through their pole, make them where they use their shoulders a little stronger. They're able to use their hind leg and drive with their hock a little stronger, all just by learning how to use themselves with somebody up there and us aiding them, be able to then be a better horse.
You know, in the other areas of reining and barrel racing and cutting, the rider certainly was important, but maybe even a little bit more so here, do you think?
Well, it certainly seems that way with the way the Kyles feel about their program. They put a big emphasis on horsemanship.
I'd like to discuss with you horsemanship, which means that will put your body in the best position and the best balance while you're on your horse at all times. So you'll be with him no matter what maneuver he makes. You are in perfect balance with your horse, so you will not hinder him. Instead, you will be an aid to him. Of course, we start like anything. You have to start with a good foundation, and that starts right here with your feet. You want a good solid foot riding on the ball of your feet, because that's the strongest part of your foot. You don't want to be riding on the arches of your foot or on your toes, okay? You want to be able to distribute your weight from here down, all the way down to the ball of your foot, having your heel slightly down. So you've got weight distributed through your ankle and through your foot. I'd like to see your foot straight ahead like this, rather than really twisted out. As you twist it out, you see you open your knee up and your thigh, and gives you less to grip with through your thigh area. So you'd like a nice straight foot, just like that right there. A good tight calf here and a nice tight knee rather than a big open knee, and gripping through your thigh. Again, you want your weight coming right through here. You actually are going to form a straight line on your entire body. It's going to come right from your shoulder, straight down through your hip, straight to the back of the heel, okay, if you're in the proper position. You want your hand about just above the horn, just like this, just in a nice position above your horn, right in that horn area right there. And then on your offhand, just have it in a nice, comfortable, relaxed position on the other side, like that right there is the way I prefer it. And then you'll be up looking straight out above your horse, seeing directly where you're going. If you're going in a circle, you'll of course look off just the outside of the inside of the ear here to see where you're circling to. Now this way you're in a perfect balance, perfect position. No matter what your horse does, you are with him and you're sitting right directly in the middle of your horse. Western riding is, like I said, one of the specialized classes that I think combines all of these events of the horses into one special event. You first have to walk through that gate, maneuver through the gate, and then move on forward to where you walk, jog, and then lope through the cones and change lead precisely at a certain time in between the two cones that you're going through. And then you weave on through an entire pattern, changing leads, and you're judged on how your horse handles himself, going through the patterns, how he handles himself moving wise and everything, and on his lead changes. And he has to do this obstacle precisely at the right time. I think it's a very challenging class.
The Western riding event is intended to show the basic requirements of a good working type ranch horse. The horse is going to do it all three gaits. We saw him at the walk, now he's going to do the jog trot, and as he comes around the end of the ring here, between the cones, he'll start to pick up the lope and then proceed to show his handiness and his ability to change leads. But all this, you can see, John, is done with him in a very quiet, relaxed manner.
I guess I've maybe been a little repetitious this evening, but again, I point out, from the novice standpoint, that maybe the most impressive thing from all four trainers is that you're back in each situation to fundamentals, to being very gentle with the horse, and to making it very easy to learn the basics that are necessary for the event.
Yes, they play on the fact, I think, that the horse, being a creature of habit, he can learn one little piece at a time, and it's a building block process. Here that he learns to lope over this log in a nice, easy stride and keep his pace, and the way he can change leads almost so subtly you can't even tell that he's doing it. Now, all of that has had to come about a little piece at a time.
Also, I think, here you look and you think, well, this, if you haven't ridden much, you think, well, this must be very easy. But this is very taxing also on the rider, everything that's taking place right here.
Well, certainly you got to be a horseman before you can be a horse trainer. And Pete wraps up the Western riding event here with a nice, easy stop and a back. And John, this is an event people can have a lot of fun with practicing at home because it does have a lot of non-routine things to it. But it does lead us now to the most popular event in Western horse showing, and that's Western Pleasure.
The Western Pleasure class is a class that takes a real soft-moving, fluid horse that's a pleasure to ride. That's what we strive for all the time in the pleasure. You want a horse that goes at a real comfortable gait, both at the walk, the jog, and the lope. You do not want a horse that's real rough to ride, bounces you around. You want him to be smooth and comfortable. You don't want a horse that's carrying his head excessively high or excessively low or anything like that. You want a nice balanced horse giving you a nice balanced ride all the way around, both ways of the arena. And you want to feel that you're in control at all times and he's not taking advantage of you in any form. There you saw a nice Western Pleasure mare that kept a nice cadence, was responsive to my cues, went right into the jog and right into the lope, kept a nice balance to herself at all times. Her head and neck was real level and carried it in a nice natural position, had the reins just at a nice loose position that I was not hanging on her head, but yet I was right there. If I needed to touch her and control her, I was right there to do it. She is a nice mover. She didn't drag her toes through the ground. She had real nice cadence to herself, and she loped real strong underneath her. This is what a nice Western Pleasure horse is supposed to look like.
Now, John, you got to admit, that looks like having a pleasure ride, doesn't it?
Yes, and it also illustrates the versatility of the quarter horse, which we've seen throughout this entire show again.